Welcome back to the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. I'm Inquisitor Temperance Price, keeper of the Inquisition's Black Library, and this is the third volume in a report on the Valentyne Heresy, an actual play podcast set in the Genesis adaptation of Warhammer 40,000's Dark Heresy RPG. This report features Game Master Tom McGee and players Ryan LaPlante as Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne, Tyler Hewitt as Attikus Viz, Laura Hamstra as Eli Sharp, and Della Borovic as Morgan Rawls. My report shows that the Inquisitorial band are achieving their goals. Morgan and Eli did so much social damage to Keiros he may as well be dead. Attikus won over the Duke while convincing him to commit his first murder, and Valentyne supervised it all from the sidelines. But can Attikus maintain his social position after reading his poem to all of Greybridge? Find out next in this episode of the Valentyne Heresy.
Overheard at the fall party. Oh man, if he was just gonna have like a cool sexy time in a maze with a guy, I don't know why I even fucking bothered to make this whole weird sculpture out of fucking stone. Could have saved myself so much chiseling. A disappointed suitor. It is the show of art, and yet there's already been a show of heart. In the maze, as Attikus, you helped guide Duke Wixthorpe through the difficult, fraught situation of having to kill one of the traitors who attempted to overthrow the royals of Greybridge. However, the fall party is still in full swing, and the Celestial Season, as is easy to forget, is not just for the people vying for the top, but similar, I believe we described it as like an F1 race, for also just improving your station in the lower ranks. So there is still a lot of desire to show off the art and to kind of jockey for position, but it's rapidly becoming clear that the contest for the Duke's heart is probably over for all intents and purposes. Nevertheless, the various houses that are still standing have set up things, and Attikus, it is expected that you will deliver a poem. As the host, you can choose where you go in this order. Do you want to open the show of art with yours, or do you want to go last?
Let's go last.
Last? Okay. So the various houses sort of assemble. Valentyne, you're able to meet back up with Attikus. Now, the Duke is kind of whisked away to probably a small, like, throne that really the king would have sat on, but he's not here. So instead, the Duke is awkwardly shuffled into it. He calls for the bottle and the glass, but you notice he only fills it half. So he's calmed down a little bit, having committed a murder. That said, his hand shakes as he raises it to his mouth. And he kind of just gestures for it to begin. So Birno hops in and says, "Hey everyone, hi. All right, great. So we're going to get going with the show of art. This is my personal favorite part of the Celestial Season, and I am honored to be here. As you all know, I am an entertainer as well as a party planner, so if you ever need someone to help you out with some art, I'm your guy. I'll always have at least 8 ideas for you." Okay, so we are getting things underway. We've already had, I believe, Keiros jumped the gun a bit. Seems to not be the first time tonight. Am I right? And everyone legitimately gives Birno some love on this one. Like the tone has changed. So if anyone wants to look at that big garish picture he put up front, that is there. That said, Lord Versailles, I believe you were a wronged party in that. So do you want to show yours next? And Versailles steps forward, says, "Yeah, I suppose it was a rather garish sight to behold. Mine is somewhat more simple. Duke Wixthorpe, though it seems you've had a deep connection with our beloved Lord Van Houten, I do have a small offering for you. Knowing how distasteful you find these particular shows, I decided instead of using my admittedly somewhat tapped resources to put on a show for you in this temporary situation, that instead I would attempt something you might actually give a shit about, if you'll pardon my language. And thus I have invested the money into the creation of several homes for the improvement of orphan children here in Greybridge. It would seem after the most recent rainfall we had that there will be a few more of those around. So the Wixthorpe Academy for Lost Children is being constructed as we speak. I, of course, have some experience in building and would welcome any input you have, but I figured what greater work of art is there to impress the heart of a duke than a work of social art that can perhaps last generations. And the Duke seems legitimately shook by this, because this is not something you'd expect from Versailles particularly, but also having just shot someone for the lulz, someone taking an action like this is actually kind of staggering for him. So he raises the glass, and there's the polite applause of, Taylor Swift announcing a new album at the Grammys, where everyone's like, yeah, cool, great. You could have announced that off your toilet and it would have had the same effect. Thank you for this. So just like polite applause from the crowd, most of whom were just pissed that they didn't think to do something like this. And again, the Duke seems very shook by this. He's looking at the glass, he's looking at Versailles, and he seems very confused and vexed. Valentyne, you're standing with Attikus. Do you have any? I just want to make sure I'm leaving room. Otherwise, I've got like 50 NPCs I'm going to get through. So is there anything you lean over to say to Attikus? You're just letting this roll? What's going on? I think
Valentyne would just hold out a data slate to remind Attikus at the end of this, we're announcing a winner for the most correctly labeled items within the house. They get the horse. The people who guess the value of the whole estate, including grounds and all outlying properties, the person closest to that wins the ship from the first race. And then we're doing a dowry offer. So like the poem's going to be great. Then we'll do this at the end. Don't get thrown by this.
Great. I'm also just referencing, so I know the names of the ship and the horse. I have them here. But he'll just give you like a curt nod. And then I think also just, I don't think he would care that this might potentially get picked up, but he'll say like, like gesture over to the maid, like, did you see all that? Of course, sir. It was all right then. Excellent, sir. Well, very good then, Rabute. Very good.
So there's a sound of trumpets. A bad imitation of battle trumpets, and Haldren Warwalker marches out and pulls a very clearly wooden sword, because there's no way he's getting it with anything remotely real, and kind of gestures to his forehead and says, "I will be doing military drills." And proceeds to just like march as like a sad drummer kind of like drums a roughly military tune, and proceeds to just kind of do a one-man march around. Everyone just watches in horrified silence, because prior to Attikus, this probably would have gone over okay. Now it's someone dressed as a soldier pretending to be a soldier while an actual soldier is here. And that's deeply embarrassing and kind of offensive to all involved. So he does it. He keeps doing like, when you see the beefeaters in England march past, where they just kind of like turn their head and then it's back. He's doing that, but it's only him. So he just keeps marching past the Duke, and Wixthorpe is just sinking lower and lower.
Valentyne from over Atticus's shoulder would say loudly enough to be sure the crowd could hear, "And what do you think of this parade, sir?"
I think Attikus would just give his honest reaction of like, "What parade? It's a jackass running around in a field."
And just like laughter. There's just laughter from the crowd.
Valentyne pretends to be checking his slate. He's just giving it a check mark for like, this went well. He's not showing it to anybody. He's just pleased.
Yeah. So Haldren finishes it, just completely oblivious to how deeply embarrassing this is, gives the salute, and marches off with a wink to the Duke, who literally just kind of tries to hide behind the glass, just holding a glass of like amber liquid that can be seen through in front of his face. he slinks down into his chair a little bit. And a few of these go on. There's some awkward singing. There is, someone does a ribbon, like a floor routine from the Olympics.
Yay.
And the Björno's looking at the list of names. Says, I believe Captain Varn. Captain Varn. Do we have Captain Varn? Oh my God! What's with that dress?
Morgan will just take that in stride and give a nod and walk basically up to get an audience with the Duke and give him a low bow. And I thank you for the opportunity to show my art. But what I have for you is my resignation in this celestial season. It is not honest of me to go on pretending I wish to gain your hand when already my heart is spoken for. And all I have is but one wish, that you too can find love in the most unexpected places.
And can you roll me a deception? I think we gotta go.
God damn.
We gotta go.
That's all I got.
The biggest alley-oop.
That's all I got.
Fucking huge.
This is the fastball special.
Huge pass and play.
Yeah, you're
I'm
just
trying.
Colossus throwing Wolverine
Yeah.
at things.
Yeah.
Well, I have 5 advantages.
Fastball special.
So.
So 2 boost.
That's fucking wild.
And your deception,
Did you
so
know
you get
this
another one
was
for
gonna
lying.
happen?
Oh, yes. Thank you.
No,
No, I looked at you like
No.
you looked like you knew.
no.
Is this opposed, Tom?
I'm
or
just
is
playing.
it-
I'm
post
just
check.
playing Clarence.
It's all opposed checks, baby.
Oh, it's just another opposed?
Yep.
Okay. I'll just roll it. 1 success, 3 advantages.
Okay. I had a triumph and 3 advantages,
Okay.
but he considers you carefully, and then he just kind of leans forward and says, "That might be the second honest thing I've heard tonight. It's so refreshing. More off-worlders should come here, truly. Thank you for this. Thank you for taking yourself out of this abhorrent race, because it doesn't appeal to you." And you can tell like he's really struggling with the decorum here. He says, "And congratulations on your love for is it indeed Sakator Voidstain?"
I was not in a situation to announce it myself, but my Duke, and she does a bow. Like, and I'm not say it because that's improper, but
Yeah, you bow and turn to leave, and he just kind of refills his glass, and just as you walk away, he goes, "Huh, suppose true love does exist." Strange. It just takes a long sip. Well, just 1,000 yards staring into the ground. Like, he's not even looking at you. It's just this is really rocked his world a bit. And Birno is just sitting there kind of with a what the fuck. And he goes, "Okay, all right, true love triumphs, I suppose. It would seem that the captain has removed herself from the running, which kind of makes sense because we all knew she was going to leave later anyway. Okay, great. Don't know what that was, but the Duke seems cool with it. Great. All right. Okay, wonderful." And you make your way back into the crowd, and people are giving you like approving stares and things. Again, they're not. How loudly would you have said that? Like, was that just for the Duke, or were you performatively saying it?
yeah, it's all still out loud. But I didn't specifically say it, so I'm just whatever people want to think.
Okay, great. So as you're walking away, you hear just muttering, and you hear Halden Walker say, "I hope it's me," as you make your way past. But yeah, you can tell that you've gone from being kind of a pariah to being kind of a delightfully eccentric oddity that's just like, okay, this all feels better. People were more concerned about you when there was a chance you would be the ruler of this planet. Now that it's very clear you won't be, everyone's kind of like, "Oh, great, you're just a weird ant. That's fine."
You're not popular, but you're that kid in the punk outfit in the back of class
That's
that
it.
says mean things everybody likes.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
yes,
Yeah,
They don't.
exactly.
I don't understand her, but in a way, she's free. You know?
Yeah. And Morgan would go right back to being extremely vigilant and watching things, because especially as we're leading up to the end of this, if someone wants to make a weird move, especially, I don't know what Bobberstein's been up to.
We're about to find out.
Oh yeah, and yeah, Eli would have approached with Morgan kind of as close as is socially acceptable to where the Duke platform is, just so that he can then face forward and look at see kind of eye contact with everyone in the crowd. If we're stepping away, Eli would like to kind of mutter to Morgan, like, "There's a last pistol in the maze. Can Toby retrieve it?"
Oh, man. Then Morgan will be on that. See if Toby can grab that pistol.
Very smart. Toby goes, "Err," and just swoops down. No one's paying attention. Everyone is. Although, admittedly, a lot of people weren't paying attention to you talking to the Duke, because it's a little bit like when you're at a concert and the band plays a song no one really likes, and everyone just like sits
Do their
down
own
and like
thing.
takes a break. So yeah, Toby's able to make his way over, and I think just get the last pistol. I don't think the Royal Guard wouldn't be in there. That's kind of done. So yeah, I think you
Great.
can
So
say
Toby's
have.
up in the air with a pistol, and Morgan will just nod to Eli. "Yes. If you happen to need to step away for some reason, perhaps you can find something.
It bows, my lady.
I just love you. Like, I've had great fun watching Attikus in all these situations, but there's something about like Eli in just bowing that's very funny to me as a concept.
No matter what Eli still does, Eli is a Navy man.
And he's so good at it, but it's still just like an awkward like.
It's a real journey here. Yeah. He's found a line and it works for him, and he just throws it up, my lady, whenever he needs it.
Eli, I think it's safe to say you can kind of disappear into the crowd again. No one's paying attention to servants and obtain the pistol. The pistol's great. It is he really leaned hard on that battery, so the charge pack.
I was going to ask, it's low.
Is low, which I think we'll say.
I have it.
If
here.
there's any,
mine is a dueling last pistol, if that matters.
That'd be about correct. Yep. So we can get
want
those.
to take my stance? Yes,
you can get those stats.
Can I tell how many shots I have left?
I think the way we'll play it is if you roll a failure with it, it's depleted.
Okay.
So at any point, if you're shooting and you roll badly. That's the last one. Also, because realistically, you won't be like, there's no hammer, but hypothetically, fanning the hammer, it's like you're going to be taking individual shots with this thing, whereas the Duke was like...
He was unloading.
Yeah.
Cool.
Super.
All right. One more illicit weapon in the mix. Great. Well done.
That's smart.
So... Bjorno's looking at the rapidly shrinking list of people who have things to show. He called out for Voidstain several times, but no response because he's currently bricked up in a basement doing some research.
One tier.
Yep. So everyone just kind of there's muttering about that. That's vaguely scandalous. But finally he gets to Bobberstein, and Bobberstein doesn't approach the Duke. He instead has built a little platform and a little podium for himself. So he gets up on that and he says, people of Greybridge, the society, we have failed. We have failed so deeply and so colossally as a people and as a place. And Duke Wickthrope, look, I appreciate that you seem to be really trying to turn this place around in your own way. And maybe you found love with someone you might want to be careful about. But none of that matters because I'm here to talk about the future, not the past, not all the bad shit that's been going on. You know, I spent a lot of time looking for purpose in life, and I kind of thought I'd found it. And then it got torn away from me in a fiery explosion. So that sucked a lot for me and for everyone else. But it got me thinking about kind of what we should be doing here and what real art is. And I realized that when Lady Ballensong died, we lost a life of art. She wanted to make this place better. She was working to make this place better despite tragedy. So I loved her. And I'd hoped that maybe she and I could, make this place better, rule it somehow. I don't know. But she's gone now. And I realized that the greatest gift I could give this planet was to instead try and live as she lived and carry on her legacy. And he begins to unwrap his face. And slowly but surely, a still slightly bruised and healing half visage of Guinevere Ballensong is revealed. And the muscles don't quite work yet. So the mouth and eye don't quite track. But she says, so I will become a living work of art in the name of Lady Ballensong. And we'll try and live as she did and improve this place as she did. And the first step towards that is more rights for the lower classes here on Greybridge. We've separated ourselves for too long. Look, I built this. I built this with my hands, not someone else's. And of course, it's rickety as shit. He's done a terrible job of this. But he points out, he says, we should all be looking to do more of what we can to, and like the Royal Guard are just slowly moving in and around. And he says, and part of that, my lord, is that you can't marry murderers and assassins. So I am calling out right now that Duke Wixthorpe, you can do better. I'm not saying me, and I'm not saying Gwen points to his face. And he just says, but please, we need to do better. We all need to do better. Thank you for your time. If you need me, I'll be in the streets where the real people are. And he steps down and goes to leave.
Valentyne will show Attikus the data slate, and it will just say, if he names you as murderer, challenge him to duel.
He'll nod and just think back because he was like, that was kind of a shock to him to hear someone talk like that, talk out of line, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I don't believe he was named. So
he was not.
So he's gonna.
Can you make him name you?
And Attikus will shrug and give like the shrug and pout of like, let's find out, and stride over to Bobberstein.
Yeah, I mean, he's on his way out.
Bobberstein Valensong.
Yeah, he says, look, I think I've made it pretty clear. I have nothing to say to you.
What was all that about? What are you doing? You're throwing it all away?
No, I'm building something new, something better. What Guinevere would have wanted. What we want. And he points to both sides of his face.
This is... I'm confused. What was the end game here for you? I mean, we just had an uprising quelled. Quite violently, I should say. You're putting yourself in grave danger here.
But they went about it the wrong way. They went out there trying to murder everyone, and that's not what this is about. This is about being better, leading through example. I built that. I learned how to build that yesterday while my face was healing. We can do this, but it doesn't need to be about murdering the royals. It's about redistribution of wealth. And I think if everyone could just get on side with that, like we would have wanted, then that will be all right. And when they see this face, when they see this golden example shining, they're going to want to get behind it. They're going to want to live Guinevere's dream just like I do now. Just like you could have if you'd spent some time getting to know her instead of...
What do you mean?
Look, you know...
What do you mean you could have?
No, you know what? You'll have plenty of time to get to know her now. And then he goes to embrace you.
That took like a weird turn for Attikus where he does not know how to behave. He would have instincts of like, don't fucking touch me, but he would like look across like the field to Rabute. He was like, what is this?
Yeah, just like, and in the time it takes to do that, he hugs you and he just says, I forgive you.
Which it looks like you're looking to the Duke because we were just off stage having hosted this event. So,
and the Duke literally just stands up and says, what the fuck, man? And he steps down off the throne and just starts like walking a little shaky. He's been drinking a lot of Amasek towards, and he says, okay, hang on. Lord Van Houten, can you step aside for a moment? I need to have words with this. And Bobberstein just like push him away.
Yeah, I'll like untangle him from me.
Yeah.
And
he steps back. He steps back and he just turns to the Duke and says, don't worry, we're square now. And the Duke just says, this is horrific. What have you done to your... You put a dead woman's face on your face? What good did you think this was going to do? You've been lollygagging around this planet like a fucking child for years, and then all of a sudden the girl you like dies, so you think you can just make a fucking difference all of a sudden? The fuck do you even know about the lower classes, Bobberstein? And like, Robbie doesn't know what to do with this. He's just kind of like looking for help. You just hear mutter, what would Guinevere do? And
Attikus would like to come between the Duke and Bobberstein because Bobberstein appears to be pretty unhinged, and it's just a gesture of like, we just need a little bit of space here. You're kind of scary. This is a very important person. Don't touch him.
And the Duke just like pours himself more. Amasek notices the bottle's empty and just kind of drops it, and he says, get your shit together, man. He turns and he yells to the royal guards, like, don't shoot this man. He's just an idiot. And he goes back up to the throne and slumps down. And he just looks up at the servo skulls and says, Uncle, is this truly worth our time? What? And just goes to drink. And Bobberstein just says, Typical royals. This is why we need redistribution. And he turns to leave again.
I feel like Boberstein kind of, in a way, killed himself by doing this, like speaking out against the crown in such a way and stuff like that. I think Attikus doesn't necessarily have like the political like wherewithal and acumen of like knowing that he needs to like pull back specifically, but it is a thing of like, this dude signed his death warrant. Like that's, gosh, I'm trying to think of the military term of like insubordination. That is gross insubordination. And he knows how the king is with these people that he's rallying around, or apparently. He said the quiet part to me of like violence isn't the way, but he said the rest of it out loud of like, I'm joining the folks in the streets. I'm just like, it's like, all right, man, I guess I don't like. Attikus is fully like, I don't understand the play here. I'm so confused. So he's just like, I don't want to get involved. So he'll just be like, well, all right then, and just back away.
So he storms to the gate and then he turns back and says, we'll be back for our manor and our things later. And he opens the gate and strides out into the street.
No.
He'll say, God, he's got so sorry. This is Tyler more than Attikus right now. I'm just like, there's a specific way to say this next part.
Well, then you'd best be sure to submit your estimations of value to my man Rebute, because everything here is for sale.
And he doesn't turn back. He just walks off into the night with the self-assurance of a man-child who has only ever been given things who assumes if he just comes back and says, this is mine, that they'll just give it back to him.
Yeah, no, we set up pretty clear rules. Like, you got to be able to guess the price. And it's all auction. Yeah.
Yep. So he's gone. The crowd is doing what Laura's doing on camera right now, which is just kind of like no one really knows what to do. And Keiros just starts clapping. And slowly but surely other people start to get. Keiros, for all the shit he suffered tonight, is just a real mean guy. So he can kind of win back some of the crowd by just being incredibly mean. And he just says, wow, and I thought I was an egomaniac for getting my face tattooed on my chest. How about that guy? And there's like some laughing and some tittering. But the people who are legitimately in the running for the Duke are not talking to him. Or this is all like the lower houses that really have very little to lose. Yeah, there's just kind of stunned silence. And the Duke just shrugs and says, oh, all right, Mr. Bierno, was it? Can you just move this along? I would very much like to not be here. Also, if anyone else has employed flesh crafters for their art, please keep it to yourselves. I don't need any more of that in anywhere, really. And he kind of gestures to you, Attikus, to go ahead. And he mouths thank you at you.
Yeah, he'll just kind of like gesture, just like an open gesture of like open hands and open arms are just like, you know, what would anyone do? Kind of thing. Like, geez.
So with that, where were you going to perform the poem? How is this going to play?
Among the banners.
Okay.
He wanted to basically speak and have, you know, the Van Houten house banners. And I believe we were talking about illustrations of like his accomplishments and things like that. Yeah, he wanted that all there.
Incidentally, you also have one of Guinevere, which is a much nicer tribute than whatever the fuck that was.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Okay. So you kind of get positioned and a hush falls over the crowd because, again, at this point, you've won enough that it's kind of clear that this is kind of in the bag.
Yeah.
But there is still decorum. There's still a sense of like, ooh, what's he going to do now? So kind of a hush falls over the crowd. Morgan and Eli, you're continuing to be vigilant, but there does not seem to be any action. People seem to literally just be attending this party. Valentyne, is there anything you would try and slip to Attikus before he does this?
Valentyne is staying prepared. The only thing he would make sure is once this poem is done, if Attikus is going to start announcing the winners of the contest, he wants to remind him that we are not auctioning off the property. It's being offered as a dowry. So
That's right. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. This is what he's trying to remind Attikus. Because honestly, the idea of it makes perfect sense for Attikus to be like, oh, so we sell it and then we can give the value. And it's like, no, we're just going to give the item. We're just establishing the value of the item. No one has enough money to buy this place. So that's our problem. Otherwise, we'd do it.
Yep.
But he would just pass those along when this is done. Especially, is Attikus the last person presenting?
Yep, you just go last.
Great. Then Valentyne is there, also ready to swoop in case this poem goes bad, to be like, then we'll just do our Oprah moment. Like right away, it's just like there's going to be prizes.
Get a horse,
like you get a horse and you get a ship and the king gets the property.
Right.
Victrix, Metal Fury. Those are the 2 prizes for people who guessed right. And then the house.
The announce of the entire estate as your dowry. For
the entire state is the dowry.
Whoever you marry.
Yeah, okay.
Great.
Cool. All right.
All right. So Bjorno says, all right, everyone grab a couple more drinks if you need them. After that, it is time for our gracious host to enlighten us with his art. So Lord Van Houten, everybody, and like scattered applause. And he like ushers you up with his little like rattling footsteps, just kind of like runs up and gestures to the little spot. So you go up and take your place.
All right. Yeah. Attikus's thinking up to this point was like he figured the poem would be quite starkly different from other shows of art, given how garish everyone has been up to this point and how big everyone has been. But now that he's had like this broadcasted time in the garden maze, it feels like maybe like it's too much and he just doesn't know what to do with it. Like he's done like the tenderness angle on this bleeding heart prince boy who like just has not seen any real action. Oh yeah, for those of you looking maybe disappointed, like Attikus serves the emperor. He's in the Inquisition. He's playing a role.
Attikus already has a boyfriend.
You said that.
It's the emperor. I was gonna say Attikus and Valentyne both think this dude is a wiener. Yeah. Like, he's very disappointing to rule the world.
Yeah.
And for anybody who thought, oh, Valentyne's had a bunch of people get murdered this episode, that's true. And to loosely quote the Inquisitorial series, the Eisenhower series, it's like, if you felt bad for that guy who died, you're a good person. You're also not an Inquisitor.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. I actually wrote something down today because I wanted it to be as like rushed as possible, but it's ideas that I had from the last time we were pulling from elements of stuff. Yeah. Sorry in advance for.
No, do not apologize.
We're here for
everything.
it.
Here we go.
I'm very excited. I'm also going to explode. You're good.
Okay. All right. So he'll stand there amongst the banners, clear his throat, and begin.
Is he reading this off of something, or has he memorized
I think he'll have
it?
a piece of paper. I think.
Okay.
Yeah. He'll pull out a piece of paper, which is like the final version of after him like scribbling and like fucking stuff up. And so he'll say, I crushed an orc's flower until the hum of his engine drenched my face and chest. My hand is cold metal for my enemies, and my body is warm meat for the grinder. But my heart is paper, and you've left your mark on it. You've broken the seal and unraveled me. My life story is on display for you to judge. And he's gesturing around to the banners and stuff. But my paper heart remains an empty letter, save for your name scrolled across it. I crushed an orc's flower until the hum of his engine drenched my face and chest. But I would take a pen in my warm hand if you would in turn take me in yours. Together, we might write our story and keep it safe upon my paper heart. And it's like, and then just like that thing of like, there it is. The end.
And the Duke just stands up and like storms down the steps like straight up to you and just grabs your head in both hands and says, I think I might just love you. And then he kisses you. And the crowd goes fucking wild. It is crazy. Morgan, you shoot a glance to like the Lizardman servitor whose eyes are just like rapidly spinning, as clearly transmitting like as fast as humanly possible.
Yes.
The screens blink to life with Frederick just going, "Oh shit! Is it okay?" And like crowd is going crazy.
God.
You hear Versailles just yelling into a comm. Yeah, no, cancel the fucking orphanage. Just see if you can get that back. And yeah, the place goes wild. And Frederick just says, "Well, all right. I guess it's not just a ceremony tomorrow. Might be a fucking wedding. So I guess we can look forward to. Hey, Rattling guy, you seem like you got your shit together. You're planning a wedding tomorrow, okay? Okay. So everybody, winter's coming, so get your fucking parkas ready. We're having a royal wedding, I guess. Congratulations, smashy arm guy, and of course my nephew. You killed a guy. That's great, and it looks like you won yourself a husband. I understand that there's some other thing to be done here. I hope it's no one else revealing a fleshcraft face. Are we done with that? That fucking give me the heebie-jeebies. I don't like that. I don't like that. So if you're gonna do that, just don't do that. But hey, we got something else. Do your other thing. But holy shit! Wow. I guess this is a celestial season to remember. Everybody, what a beautiful couple. Here's to you. And he raises a glass, and everyone kind of has to raise a glass.
Valentyne hands Attikus a glass.
Yes, and so I will have a glass to raise.
All right, great. Well, here's the future of Greybridge. It is paper heart, I guess. And he raises a glass, and everybody cheers and clinks. And there's like again, this is drama at a level this society has not seen in an age. So there's lots of excitement. That said, you still have the business of
we got a hand.
Yep.
So Valentyne would take the winner list from Birano and hand it over to Attikus to be able to present their two winners and reveal the dowry. Who are the two winners?
So I remember the rules of your contest as this was not mine.
Okay, so it is the person who guessed the most things inside the manor correctly. And then the person who guessed the entire value of the estate, all the outbuildings, all the businesses the most correctly.
Great. Okay. So the most items correctly is Marcellinus Trueheart, the solicitor, who, needless to say, is very good at just eyeballing these things.
That makes sense.
And the overall winner is a lesser house that none of you interacted with at all. The Smithington West House, which are a bunch of deeply, deeply social climby, just incredibly snarky person in the background of a British manners comedy. Folks, they're all slightly overdone. Their makeup and hair is sort of almost a Court of the Sun King level of like too much powder, too much wig. But the reason that they were able to do this is there is a clerk with them who is smiling just very, very snarkily at everyone as this is announced. And Hugh Smiggleton kind of appears at your arm and says, "Oh, that makes sense, my lord. I'm afraid that was the most overachiever in my class. My nemesis, Clerk Drendington." And Drendington just nods at everyone. And of course, is like letting the Smith Westing take the prize. But he says, "I'm sorry, my lord. I should have warned you. They're very, very good at estimations."
It's fine. He's won a group of people a ship. We have won a place in the palace.
And Hugh looks at you the way he did when you first gave him a job. He says, "Take that, Drendington." No one hears it or cares, but he has won a small victory against an arch nemesis. But the ship is a huge prize for this family. This is like they could never afford anything nearly this cool. You see them kind of like titter about it. They're losing their cool very quickly in a way that just lowers their status kind of further and further. And Marcellinus runs up to Victrix and just kind of is going, "Oh, a horse. Oh," clearly terrified of horses. And it's just one of those people who's won a prize and is like standing kind of at distance, being like, Huzzah! As Victrix just kind of like stomps closer and looks to you, Attikus, with kind of a like, are you sure about this look?
Attikus completely disregards a horse looking at him.
Yeah.
And Victrix
doesn't give a shit.
Victrix just like looks back, knowing that he unfortunately gave you too much horse confidence, and now you've surpassed it. So,
Yeah.
A farewell
Horse
to
arrogance.
horse confidence.
but
what you call that.
of course, these two things were merely the icing on the cake.
It's time for the big announcement, Attikus.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, after, having those names on the data slate saying like, here's your prize, blah, 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 he'll say,
And I would like to announce that this game, this competition to discuss and discover the true value of the Balancong estate is that because as the executor of the Balancong estate, I will be giving it as a dowry to whomever I shall marry. However,
he like looks to the Duke who's with him, I assume still. And he said,
I do have hopes about who in particular would receive this.
And the Duke just kind of gives you a stern look. Meanwhile, Frederick is just on the screen with his hands in the air, like big smile on his face. And Duke Workshop just says, Lord Van Houten, I require nothing from you but your aforementioned paper heart. But perhaps we can use this estate for good. And he kind of looks up at looks directly into the eyes of the servitors, and Frederick is just sitting there going like,
For those audio listeners, that was oh hell no.
yeah. Sorry, he's given the Jonah Hill at the
cut.
Oscars, like, please don't
Cut it. You gotta cut it.
cut this. And the Duke turns out to the crowd and says, Lord Barberstein said some fucking nonsense tonight, but something that did ring true was that Lady Balancong was one of a kind and was attempting something good here. So now, with Lord Van Houten's help and with this estate, perhaps a proper non-face legacy can live on. But I suppose we'll have to see tomorrow, my lord. I will be at the altar, and I certainly hope you will be as well.
and Attikus won't say anything, but he'll squeeze his hand again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And with that, Bjorno turns and like quickly gestures to his team, and they all nod. With a press of a button, fireworks go off around the estate. These are, of course, like no one has access to real weapons, so they're
I was going to say Eli was immediately just like on guard, what the fuck is this cover for?
They're basically like they've rigged up like little like bursts of, because it's still a fall season, so like little bursts of leaves, like dried
paper
leaves.
confetti kind of thing?
Kind
One
of,
those
yeah,
party
yeah.
popper
It's
things?
the equivalent of party poppers.
Okay.
Sorry, fireworks is probably too strong a description, but just something to like really indicate it's a classic like end of a concert. We have to make this look good, so things burst off around, and you just whoever's closest to Beardo, maybe Eli, just gonna be like, found a use for those books after all. Oh my God. From all the dried paper mache. He didn't cut up more because he knew he'd get fucking murdered.
Correct.
But yeah, so party poppers go off around. People are cheering. And Morgan, of course, your eyes kind of track over to the servitor who, if a servitor's shoulders could raise 3 inches, have gone up like 3 inches. And the servitor almost like turns away. And you can just hear it muttering, like you can see it just sending commands rapidly. Various servo skulls are kind of like dancing around it. And it kind of looks up and locks eyes with you and just tilts its head slightly.
And Morgan will lock eyes back and not make any sudden movements, but just that slow cat blink.
And the servitor just cocks its head back up and just rotates back around to face things. But Valentyne, to your point, despite all the conspiracies and all of the violence and all of the still unsolved mysteries, it does indeed seem like Attikus has won the heart of a duke. And as a snow begins to fall with the Cloud Palace going into overdrive to rapidly flip the seasons, the party comes to a close, and all of you have a wedding to prepare for. Oh, and an Eldari to kill.
This episode of the Valentyne Heresy features the voices of players Ryan LaPlante, Tyler Hewitt, Laura Hamstra, and Del Borovic, alongside Game Master Tom McGee. This episode was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and the Valentyne Heresy's artwork was created by Del Borovic at delborovic.com. That's DELBOROVIC. Our theme song is The Hordes by Megan McDuffie, and our ad breaks use the tracks No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR. All of their music is available at freemusicarchive.org. For all things Dum Dums and Dice, including merchandise and how to join our Patreon, you can visit dumdumdice.com or find us on social media at dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. Ave Imperator, and death to all the heretics.
Dum Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: Christopher Little, George Dolby, Richard Cranium, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Flynn1138, Alarain Okapi, Schrodinger's Pepper, Guy Edwards, Madre de Gatos, Lady Maiden, Garbo Abe, Locke, Sam Schaefer, Waffle Marine, Dagger Rain, Rob L, Dia De Los Hoodless, Squishy Werewolf, Remy Funky Head, Nomad, the Wise Paladin of the Badlands, Accent Therapeutic Services in Florence, Kentucky, Lael, Shulzari, The Long Family, Jordan Oliver, Richard Wright, Brittany Fenwick, Alex Parr, Old Man Mojo, Dragonfly, The Body Barrelers, Megan Werner, A Man Out of Time, Curtis at FingerTechRobotics.com, Panda24NN, Shendra D, Your Homeboy Bones, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.